Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Dawnbringers, Season 4, Episode 14. Heart of the Nightfang Spire is this season's title, and this episode is called A New Arrival. And we'll explain just what that means in just a few moments, though if you look under Scotty's window next to Ted's window, you might see a new face. Not new to the channel per se, but the self-proclaimed heir to the MTD Empire, my son Zachary, is going to be joining us as an honorary member of the Dawn. Well, we'll see if he's an honorary member of the Dawnbringers tonight. We'll see how that goes. But Zach is joining us for a period to be determined by the Dawnbringers, apparently. That might just mean he's with us. Just each week he's playing a new character. We'll see how that goes. So yes, we're very, very happy to have you join us for a little while, Zach. I am going to jump right into the domain dice so I don't forget this. You are moving up from 101 to 102 domain dice, thanks to Spike for that returning subscription, for making that 1 year of subscription. So thank you so much for that, Spike. We appreciate that. Domain dice are a way that you, the viewers, can have a little bit of influence on what happens in our games. Whether you want to donate through tipping, $5, 500 cheer bits, a subscription, a resubscription, or if we get rated, all of those things will earn the Dawnbringers some domain dice indicated by that number in the dice directly above Dan and V's head. They're indicated as the 102. Just because it rarely ever happens, I'm going to say, I see you there, Kelly. Thanks for stopping by the Opera Geek. So somebody who has also played a character on the stream, and hopefully we can get them to come back sometime. So that's a domain dice. So please consider that when they are struggling through desperate fights and things like that. They definitely appreciate the help that all those domain dice give them, which are rerolls, making me reroll all the way up to super criticals. Let's see. Down in the lower left-hand corner, under our friend, our mascot, the vampire Yesferatu, you will see 3 logos: Jasper's Game Day, Initiative Coffee Company, and the TNC Talon and Claw icon. First of all, Jasper's Game Day, if you type !Jasper in the chat, you will be taken directly to a wonderful donation landing page for Jasper's Game Day. They're an incredible charity organization dedicated to raising awareness, education, and ultimately prevention of suicide through tabletop gaming. We are a longtime partner with Jasper's Game Day. We'll continue to be a partner with Jasper's Game Day. In fact, in just 2 weeks on the weekend, and I think the 28th is the day, I could be wrong on that, 30th, something like that. Check your calendars, check your social medias. I will be hosting 2 Jasper's Con games, one of which I will be actually running on that day right here on Mini Terrain Domain. Also, check out the Initiative Coffee Company. Typing !Coffee in the chat will bring you a link where you can purchase Metadare roast coffee. It is a wonderful blend of coffee that myself and the Big Bearded Nerd personally selected. For every 12-ounce bag that you purchase, $3 of that does go to benefit Jasper's Game Day. That is through Initiative Coffee Company's Help Action. Finally, in that group there, we have this one. The code changed. You have to type !MTD Claw, and that will bring up some information for our sponsor partner, Talon and Claw. They are incredible makers of wooden gaming accessories such as dice trays, DM screens, wooden gaming vaults for keeping your dice in They're in the stages of fulfilling their Whiskey Barrel Dice Vault Kickstarter in association with Smuggler's Coffee. If you got it at the at that level, which I did, because I'm looking forward to that. But the great thing about them, besides all of the awesome, cool things that they make, is when you go to that link and you pick out your accessories to glorify your table, use code MTDClaw at checkout and you will get 10% off your order, and you will be helping Mini Terrain Domain. So be sure to check that out. Speaking of cons, this is not an official announcement on any of the things, but this weekend, starting tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, running until approximately 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right here on Mini Terrain Domain, this is your home for AtConline 2020. It is a con being put on by Absolute Tabletop. I am producing and hosting it. And each day there are going to be 3 featured games and or panels. And on day 1, I believe, we have, closing out the day, our very own Jeremy is going to be running an awesome game. You're going to see some pretty cool games from some incredible creators and game masters. There's going to be a workshop panel from Barker, also known as Inspire the Story. You're also going to see an incredible panel with Lloyd Collins and DBJ, DeVay Brian Jackson, who's known for his cinematic environs with Critical Hit Publishing. Lots of great stuff. A little over 8 hours a day for the next 3 days, starting tomorrow. In addition to that, if Jeremy, I don't know if you want to just, you're modded, so you should be able to do this. Type in the web address for, I think it's atcon.absolutetabletop.com, and right there you can get all kinds of cool information about what's going to be going on with that, as well as all of the community spotlight games, because not only are we running games here on the channel, but all over the place on their own channels, people are running their games. And ultimately everybody is also going to be, we've got $1,000 goal, and we are trying to raise money to help with Feeding America, and information about that will be there as well. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to help out with the group and to be a part of this. So be sure to check that out. Before we get to our last statement that we always make before we play, Scotty has an announcement for us.
Hey guys, just a second. We just released a module over at Questgivers. We're working with Jeremy at Black Magic Craft. We came up with a cool module we wrote together called Harvest, and it's this creepy cool module. It's system neutral, so you can run in any system. Super cool night of gaming. But we also have released our 12 module, or actually 16 modules, 12 module campaign, all interlinked adventures with 4 mini quick quests inserted in between those adventures. So it's a lot of gaming for the money. So check it out at Questgivers. We got some great stuff for you. And one last thing, I have this rule set that I use called DM Scotty's Luck Dice Rules. I also have those over there. If you're interested, I'm using them at conventions for D&D and ICRPG. People seem to love them. They've always asked me, what are these rules? So I finally put them down in PDF form, so you can pick those up too. So that's it. I just wanted to mention that before we get started.
All right, and I was trying to paste in the links you provided, Scotty. We'll have to see if we can get those in there into the chat, because I almost pasted the Zoom link into the Twitch chat, which would not be the first time I've done that. So, oops. So there's a waiting room, so that won't cause any problems. But still, somebody that is modded should be able to go to that link, click it, and then go ahead and drop it in the chat there. If not, we'll do it during the break. I want to make sure you can get links to those awesome modules. We've run from that set of modules, we've run a one-shot here on the channel in the past. They're a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with them, and I'd love to do some more stuff with them. Okay, I know everybody's champing at the bit here. We do have one last statement that is the most important statement that we make before every game that we run, before every stream that we run on the channel, and it is this: you matter. no matter where you are, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what your mental state is in this world, you need to know that you matter. A tagline that Jasper's Game Day uses, and I absolutely love, is "You are not a critical mistake. You are not a critical fumble. You matter." It can be difficult to believe that. It can be a struggle. Oftentimes in the past, mental health has been severely stigmatized. I'm here to tell you that there's nothing to be ashamed of. I see a therapist for my own anxiety and depression. Others have sought out that kind of help, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help if you need it. One of the ways that we want to make sure that you can get help if you need it, and you just don't know where to turn, is at any time you can come here, whether we're broadcasting or not, type in the word "help" with an exclamation point in front of it. And just as Jeremy has done in the chat there, and you will see a whole bunch of phone numbers and you'll see a URL for opencounseling.com, which has some resources for global help. But here in the United States, you can call the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you are a military veteran or active duty, you can press the number 1 after that and be connected with a military specialized counselor. Or if you prefer, you can text 741-741. Please use those resources if you need them, and get the help if you need it. So with that said, we are going to play some Dungeons and Dragons. As you will all remember, in our last session that was entitled The Calm Before, you had just teleported out of the Nightfang Spire, or so you thought, onto the deck of the Evangeline, where you had the unconscious Griveth, the unconscious Talmud. People were severely injured. Things were looking bad for the Dawnbringers. Almost immediately, things started going wrong. Bad stuff started happening. It started with a broken deck board and a broken leg, somebody falling from the rigging to their death, drowned discovering that the ship was little more than balsa wood, was barely holding water. There were coffins in the cargo hold. A massive swarm of rats rose up from the depths of the ship, chasing everybody up and eventually forming into Gulthias himself, who faced off against the Dawnbringers. They fought valiantly, they fought hard, and ultimately, I believe it was Griveth, while Thorgarn was held in Gulthias' clutches, Griveth came in with Sir Bradford's honor, and destroyed the vampire, and also destroyed the vision. The vision began to fade, and they realized all of them were still in the Nightfang Spire. They were no longer in the room or the hallway even, where they had been battling the fire elementals and the myrmidons and such. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by Gerithan, many of whom of their kind they had fought and killed. But these Gerithan, at least one of them was talking to them in a very broken common, but it was talking to them nonetheless, and assuring them that they had nothing to fear, that they would look out for them. They had helped them to escape, destroyed the remaining fire elementals, and they wanted them to heal because they would destroy Gulthias and they could have their home back. It was right about that time that Fig, who had been experiencing mysterious visions of a place in the Underdark where he had a form that was not his own, Fig had another vision, and a mysterious magical sigil that seemed to form of the very magical energy that kept him alive. It seemed to leak out of his body and form this magical sigil on the ground. And suddenly, Fig fell through the magic, fell through the floor. Instantaneously, a nearly identical sigil appeared 20 feet above the cavern on the ceiling, and a humanoid figure dropped 20 feet to the ground. Scimitars, their edges glowing like embers of fire, clattered and skittered across the floor, and this humanoid dropped to the ground, unconscious. And that is where we are going to pick up in that very moment. Fig is gone. This new arrival lays at your feet. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
I think one of the scimitars like comes skittering across the floor, and there's just like this heavy thud of a boot that like stops it like skidding across the floor. And Talmud's just like staring deadpan at this new arrival. Who in the nine hells are you?
He does not respond. He's face down, unmoving.
What now? What is it now?
Where is Fig?
Where's Fig? Yeah.
Just a quick check-in. Fig was relaying all of his strange waking visions, at least to Cantriel. Did the rest of us pick up on all of that?
I don't think we talked about it, no.
Right.
Cantriel was the primary recipient. I did want to bring one last thing I forgot to remind you all of.
A letter.
And that was all that the Gerithan had brought by the name of Thif, who is the sort of matron of these Gerithans. She had brought Yesha's journal that had blood on it, and Cantriel had flipped through it and had found a piece of parchment, a page torn out of it, folded many times, with some interesting information on it. So, but no, I don't think that, other than a couple bits and pieces asking about familiarity with Limbo, I don't think that the bulk of what Fig went through was communicated to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the symbol that appeared below Fig that became a portal that he fell through, did that symbol just sort of appear out of nowhere?
The sigil showed up on the ceiling and on the floor, seemingly from nowhere. The one that appeared below Fig seemed to actually be formed of the energy that powers Fig, as it seemed to almost leak out of his body.
That's right.
What was the sigil on the ceiling look like? Well, or not look like, but like, what was that made of? Was that blood? Is that...
It looked identical.
Okay.
Same blue light.
Same blue energy and everything.
All right. So Drown will just sort of heave himself up to his feet and go over and check the laying form.
What are you doing to check on him?
Just grab it by the shoulder, roll him over onto his back, see if he's dead, conscious. Hasn't responded, so I assume at least unconscious.
You roll him over. Oh, go ahead, Ted.
I was like, Cantriel, Drown, do either of you know anything about that sigil?
I think somebody had asked previously, and if not, I will just say this:
do an Arcana check, or?
That this magic is far beyond any magic you have ever seen. The complexity of it, you recognize elements of teleportation, possibly plane shifting. You're not sure, but it's the most complex. It's almost as if multiple layers of magic was layered into it, and you almost got me, Jeremy. You almost got me. But yes, that's the correct kind of magic.
Drown will shake his head. He'll say, "I can do something similar, but nothing really approaching
Get him
what
back?
just happened." No.
Can we get him back?
Drown, as you roll this figure over, he is unconscious. Zach, why don't you tell us, why don't you describe what the Dawnbringers see when Drown rolls you over?
I will gladly do so. A figure with kind of a slender but trim figure with this sort of attire that's refined with purpose. It's fit and fashioned elegantly with some sort of craftsmanship of some sort of culture. His hands are plated with this pair of wicked armored gauntlets, which themselves almost seem to burn with a fiery intensity. From his belt hangs the scabbard of what you would assume to be a pair of twin scimitars. He's got a very severe and scarred face. He has a very brutal scar. It's like a chunk of part of his upper lip is missing. That looks actually kind of recent across his face. He's got this deep brown blown back hair and a patch of facial hair growing from his chin. Across his forehead is this fine golden circlet with a fiery red gem emblazoned in its center. And around his neck, there's this gold band with beads dangling from the pointed ends, perhaps a mark of his culture, perhaps imbued with magic. He's just, laying there chilling.
Do we recognize what kind or people he hails from? I don't remember much in the way of description there, besides slender. Like human, elf, anything along those lines?
I don't know if you would necessarily know who what the race is, but he's got a kind of pointed ears, kind of a stubby nose, and this yellowish hued skin.
So Drown will take a moment to look him over, see that he's alive. Does he appear to be dying? Stable?
He looks to be... Well, why don't you go ahead and give me a medicine check?
Even with my crappy wisdom, that's a 17.
He's alive. He's breathing. Whether by magic or the 20-foot fall, not knowing even how far he fell before that, he actually seems to be in surprisingly good health. Other than the recent scarring, he doesn't have a lot of fresh wounds, broken bones. He just appears to be unconscious.
All right, so Drown will sort of look him over, blink, shake his head. I've never seen anything like this, but it appears to be alive.
We sure meet an awful lot of interesting folks. I've said it before, I'll say it again. What is that?
Well, let's wake him up and find out. And she'll
We
walk over and
definitely
touch
need
with
to
her
try
boot.
to. We definitely need to try to keep him alive because he may know where Fig is.
I have a theory. Wake up, and she's going to start nudging with her toe.
Whatever opened those gateways seemed to come from Fig.
Yes,
It
well,
was
there's
composed of Fig's own energy.
more
So-
Fig than we realize.
But maybe this person knows about it. Maybe they can tell us something about it.
Hence the waking him up. Wake up!
After about the third sharp kick in the ribs, not too hard, but
no,
enough.
It's not kicks.
No.
It's more like,
I don't mean.
uncomfortable
I was gonna say
nudges.
not like a kick.
How much damage do I write down?
Well, it depends if she likes you or not.
They're magical boots.
After the third broken finger.
Yeah. When the rib finally cracks, you wake up. No, that's just sort of that sharp nudging, just enough, like between the ribs. It's not gonna hurt you, but it's gonna wake you up. You sort of. Why don't
Should
you
be
make me a
bent over, like,
Constitution
kind of like-
check?
Staring him dead in the face.
Zach, make me a
Constitution
Constitution check. I just want to
can
see
do that.
something.
Just straight Constitution.
Yep.
5.
You wake up groggily.
Oh,
You ache
that's my groggy.
all over,
Oh no.
as if you just fell 20 feet to a stone floor.
Yes, hi. You've fallen. You can't get up quite yet. Who are you?
As I kind of come to, eyes kind of open, kind of, I lurch, kind of skitter back just maybe a foot, just like, where in the hells am I?
Who in the hell are you is the better question.
Who in the hell are you?
No, I asked first.
He kind of squints as I look around. Your faces, you're familiar. I've seen you before.
All right, next question. Have you felt an out-of-body experience with that one?
What?
Ask him about Fig.
Have you?
Ask him
Shut
about
up,
Fig.
Griveth. Have you ever had an experience where, say over the past few hours, days or so, where it's felt like you've sort of been switcherooed?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, damn it.
If you'll let me, I kind of stand up to my feet, kind of.
That matches what was happening to Fig.
I'll pick up the other scimitar that went, sailing across the floor. I know Talmud picked up the other one. Just take a brief look at it to see the how good the forging is.
Did you come from, well, let's just say, are you familiar with Drow?
I was traveling with a drow through the Underdark.
You'll see Cantriel go pale at hearing that one.
You know something we don't there, Cantriel?
I do.
Is he speaking
Perhaps I missed this. Who are you?
Yes, who are you?
My name is Gerithan. Gerithan Gayen Gathar.
Well, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
She's gonna look it up like, what?
You can
Did
call me
anything
Gerithan.
happen, Gerithan? I'm
Your
drowned.
name's as fancy as your clothes.
Did anything in particular happen before you ceased being where you were and ended up here?
Kind of searches his memory for a brief moment, still kind of shook. Another vision. A vision of here. And then I think I blacked out. And now I'm actually here. Before it was as though I was in someone else's form.
Right. Well, gentlemen, Fig was having episodes, is sort of the best way to, I guess, describe it. He was phasing in and out and talking of a different place, seeing a drow, being in a place that was foreign and yet familiar all at the same time.
And no one thought to tell the rest of us as we're
We were a little
venturing
occupied.
into this dark, dangerous place that one of us was possibly dangerous?
Well,
It happened a few times. I saw it at least twice.
We were still trying
Fig
to
would
figure
just
it out.
lose time.
So Fig traded places?
Apparently so.
Look, I saw the inside of Fig's head. There's a lot of very strange, powerful-looking magic going on with Fig. So, if Fig caused this somehow, I don't know if we can run into anybody who understands what the hell's going to happen to bring him back.
Fig did some things even he didn't understand. He took whatever the central being of another constructed soul like himself into himself. Who knows what that could have caused?
But what's the connection to this one, Gara something or other? Sorry, I'll figure it out in a moment. Are you another wizard?
I'm no wizard. But please, if you'll indulge me, who are all of you?
I'm Cantriel.
Thorgarn.
They call me Griveth, the Knight of Smite.
Nobody calls him that.
You can just call him that one. if you choose.
No
Fair,
one
he
calls
calls
him
himself.
that at all. Well, that's true. I am Talmud. But we're in a situation here. I don't know how familiar you are with what's going on. Truth be told, I don't know how familiar we are with what's going on at this point. But just so you know, you're kind of jumping into the deep end here, and I mean that in the worst way possible.
Could it be deeper than the depths of hell?
Yep, that's about where we are.
Yep, that sounds right.
So I'll hold up the scimitar that I picked up. Does it look like it's, fairly well made there, Jake?
It looks to be very well made.
Excellent.
And it looks to be made. I actually want you to give me a history check and use your dwarven stone cunning.
All right. Ooh, 16 on the die. You using intelligence on that?
Yep.
And double proficiency if it's stone cutting.
All right, so that's going to be a 24.
You recognize that these scimitars are not crafted by hands. They're not crafted by dwarven hands. They're most likely not crafted by hands of this world. They appear to actually be made of obsidian, but a magically imbued obsidian.
These are fairly well done. I hope if you're gonna help us get you back to where you belong and get our friend back, I really hope you're good with these things. I kind of hand it over to you.
Grab it and give it a twirl, familiar twirl. The other one.
Do you know of Golthias?
Do I know Golthias?
Yes.
I want you to make me a...
That's what I was asking.
He was asking me.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I want you to make me a history check at disadvantage. You're not checking your historical knowledge of Golthias. You're checking your historical knowledge of your flashbacks.
Disadvantage, a 10.
It doesn't ring a bell.
I don't know of who you speak.
Evil, vampire, powerful. That's the sum up.
I see. Well, I know not of by what strange device brought me here, but it's my understanding that whatever powers that be are beyond my control. I think if it is your companion who I have swapped places with, then it may be best if I stick with you until the unlikely event that we re-exchange places.
All of these other episodes have been temporary. I don't want to let this one go off on his own.
Well, I'm not liking to just have an armed foe at our sides and our backs when we're drawing against evil monsters. What are you about? What do you like to do? Convince me that you're not here for us and an agent of this vampire. Would have been fun.
No. Before I set out in the Underdark, I headed up a mercenary company near Boulder's Gate called Zerth Zaran. That is how I occupied my time. A sellsword. I am by no means in league with evil.
So you only care about coin?
For the most part, but I was not in the Underdark in pursuit of riches. I aim to get back there eventually.
Jake, do we have any concept of how close Nightfang Spire is to Baldur's Gate?
Yes. You all, with the exception of your well, I take that back. The Dawnbringers, prior to you, Drown, prior to their foray in Saltmarsh, the bulk of what they have been doing has been around the northern areas of the Sword Coast, reaching sort of in the areas of Blazing Dell and Oakhurst are a few days north of the Desserin Valley, and when they traveled to the sword, or excuse me, to, why do I keep forgetting Saltmarsh? When they traveled to Saltmarsh, everybody wants to forget Saltmarsh, right? When they traveled to Saltmarsh, and then you would even know this, when you were traveling on your way back, you were headed for Luskin, which then would take you by a few days' journey back eastward towards Blazing Dell and stuff. So you're sort of in that whole northern area of familiarity. I think, and you knew that the Nightfang Spire was somewhere relatively close to that. How much, you don't know, but it definitely puts you several thousand miles, I believe, or at least several hundred. I don't have the map in front of me right now, but a long ways north of Baldur's Gate.
Now, Griveth isn't a smart individual, but he does have a sense of people who lie and tell the truth. He's kind of staring, and trying to discern if he's lying or he feels he's telling the truth.
Well, that's gonna be an insight check.
Does anybody want to help?
Can I? Oh, I don't know if this is really something you could help with.
Insight isn't really something you can help somebody on in this way.
Can I also get a roll?
But yeah, you can make an insight check.
Oh, I got a 26. I got a 26.
If you're trying to deceive in any way, then you would have to make a deception roll. What did you end up with?
I got a 26.
I have a natural 1. So the total of 6.
So Griveth and Thorgarn are arguing.
Thorgarn's like running over, putting his arm around the guy. Like, hey.
Thorgarn's gonna believe anything you tell him.
Right.
Griveth is paying pretty close attention to you. Are you telling the truth?
Yeah, you definitely get the sense that I'm not trying to hide anything at all.
How would you describe your demeanor, Gerithan? In terms of, are you confident, on guard? Are you reserved?
I would say initially I was very, startled, kind of groggy, but as I've kind of been introduced to these folk, my arms are crossed. I'm kind of leaning back in my stance, just a bit, surveying them.
I would say then it's about this time that you notice that very close by are 2 very large Gerithan, and there's about another 10 Gerithan in this large 30 by 30 room, sort of at the edges, and pushed to the sides. There's a lot of 4-armed gorillas in this room.
Did I get both of my scimitars back or just the one?
So far, Talmud has not given you back your other scimitar.
If he goes looking for it, Talmud will give it to him. You know how to use these, I hope.
Yeah. Realizing that these creatures are around, Gerithan will immediately pull them out. As he had sheathed them, he will draw them out, twirl them, and kind of react just in a on-guard way.
Well, easy there,
One
Tiger.
second.
Oh,
No,
hold on.
These creatures,
they're fine.
you were fighting them in one of my visions.
Yes, but it's a different story right now.
Notice the whole lack of aggression on any of them.
We're
There
trying
are
to figure
separate
that out
groups.
ourselves.
There are separate groups of them. These are friendly, or at
I
least
see.
not inclined to kill us.
I sheathe my scimitars.
Look, like I said, this place is full more of questions than it is answers, truthfully. So you're just going to have to buckle in and just get ready, because there's not a whole lot of explaining it, honestly.
In addition to everything that you and our companion experienced, twice now at least, we have all had a shared hallucination of some sort. So be on your guard and don't even necessarily trust your senses.
I always am. I always am. Don't let me.
His bravado just slipped.
I always am. I
He has
promise.
that effect on people sometimes. Don't worry about it.
Gerithan kind of scans the faces for just a moment and kind of squints his eyes as he says, there was another face among you.
Yesha,
If that is her name.
young woman.
Yes.
Yes.
Did
She's
you-
gone missing.
Just kind of takes note of that.
All right. So since we're not about to, drawl on this guy, Thorgarn looks to his left wrist. Is the bracer that I gave to Drown still there?
On Drown's wrist?
Because he gave it
I
to
look at
Drown
my
in the dream
wrist.
Sequence.
Because I gave it to him on the boat.
On the
Oh.
deck of
Yeah.
the Evangeline.
No, it's not. It's on your own wrist.
It's on my wrist or on Drown's wrist?
No, it's
It's
on
on-
yours.
It's on your wrist. Drown.
Who's on first?
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know.
No, who's on second?
There were a couple of things I was wondering. I was like, wait, did this happen
Alright.
on the boat or off the boat?
I was absolutely on the
But-
boat. So, Thorgarn walks up to Drown. How tall are you again? You're like huge.
Almost 8 feet,
They're
7'11".
like kneecap.
All right, so you are, again, almost double my height. This is awkward. You want?
He just wordlessly holds out his hand.
Oh, he'll undo the strapping, hand it over, and pull out.
Drown takes it, nods his thanks in almost exactly the same way he did in the hallucination, and then just sets about buckling it onto it. He takes the old, filthy, wrapped, salt-encrusted sailcloth that he uses for makeshift bracers and replaces it with the Dawnbringers bracer.
That is not the only thing that will repeat from the dream. You saw what I did to Gothias. Wait
After
till we
you
meet.
panicked and dropped your sword, yes.
Anyway, speaking of Yesha, little note from her here. Perhaps it's best we all know about it, considering
Note?
how things have gone a little odd.
How did she get a note to you?
One of them gave it to me.
In the book, maybe. I've got a journal.
She has the journal.
All right. Well, does it say
Alright.
where she is?
Well, it says this. You actually going to listen?
I suppose.
Oh, good. Good. I'm Yesha Falcon of Dry Lake. I am 19 years of age. I am a human girl this time. Before that time, I was Mikhail Brightmane. I was 45 years of age. I was a gnomish boy that time. Before that, I was a dwarven girl. Not yet mature. My name was Berlina. Before that, my clan was Gaydon. Before that, I was born.
Does nothing make sense here?
Wait. What name was that you just said?
Now, there was a point where you told Cantriel your daughter's name, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to look markedly at Talmud. Berlina.
Oh, that's that's not what it says here. Let me see the paper, please.
Of course. And she'll hand it right over.
Forgive me this question, but Talmud, can you read?
That's a fair question.
Barbarians are illiterate in fifth.
It really did feel like the right question. I just wanted to make sure.
If he doesn't, it's only because it's usually printed on trees. No, I imagine he reads.
Okay.
Probably not well.
But there are certain words you would recognize quicker than others.
Yeah, I imagine so. This is he just kind of like crumples up the paper, almost not wanting to look at it any longer.
Cantriel just like carefully remove it from your hands gently.
And he just kind of like drops it towards her. No, yeah. I can't do this. Nope. He's going to turn and he's going to kind of walk towards an empty corner of the room.
She'll pass the note over to you, Thorgarn, and she'll go after Talmud.
So does the name Berlina mean anything to me?
I don't know that Talmud's told anybody. Well, you know what, though? Thorgarn being from Blazingdale and knowing the family would probably know that name and probably be privy at least to a little bit of what happened.
So then what do I know? Because I don't know all of Talmud's backstory.
Talmud, what does Thorgarn know?
Being that he's a distant cousin, I imagine that Thorgarn probably just knows that Talmud had a daughter and that she died when she was very young.
So I guess, Thorgarn would kind of smooth out the note, read it a couple of times, not really see anything that jumps off the page that would...
what about the clan's name?
It's Gerithan, right?
It's Talmud's clan.
So, I mean, like, dwarven clans are pretty big, so, like, not, I would obviously recognize the clan name not being my own, but would still be like, all right, I don't necessarily know this girl. Why would this, provoke this kind of reaction? But obviously he's been traveling with Cantriel longer than Thorgarn, so he's just gonna step back and allow the two of them to converse, and Thorgarn will just like fold the note and keep it nice until we can put it back in the book. And I guess he'll turn to the group to try and start a conversation to draw attention away from them, so that I guess they could talk in peace. So what do you think we should do about Yesha? Those guys, points to the Grillians, they don't know where she is.
There's very little we can do. The next time we sleep, I can try to send her a message. But until then, we'll simply have to make our way and hope we can find her. If we can return... Oh. Am I back? I seem to be breaking up there. Am I good?
Nope.
Can you hear me? All right, good. All right,
You're
good.
fine.
Just internet on my end then. That's fine. If we can find our way back to the crematory, it's possible we could try and track her, but difficult to say.
Do we know where we are in relation to that room? Like, I'll kind of like try to focus my attention towards Drown and the Grillians to see if somebody responds.
Jake, are we still covered in ash?
No, you've been partially cleaned. There's like
right.
ash on your there's ash on your clothing, but I mean they were in particular with Griveth and Talmud, they were putting claws, wet claws to their faces.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm going to try and figure out when exactly we blipped out of reality. When Drown readied to use the helmet to teleport everyone out, he scooped up a handful of ash and tucked it into his pouch. I'm going to check that pouch. Does it have ash in it?
It does have ash in it.
All right.
What it does not have in it is a... actually, I take that back.
Wood from the deck.
Because you put the ash in after you were on board the Evangeline, didn't you?
Oh, no, I did. Did I take it off me?
You took it off your clothes.
Okay, all right.
Because you took the splinter of the Evangeline first. Then you took the ash. So when you look in that pouch, there's nothing there.
All right. So if there's ash on us that I can collect.
Oh, believe me, if you just went like this,
right,
the stuff, yeah, you'll be able to get enough ash for the purpose you want.
Great. Okay. So then I'll say we still appear to be in the spire. So we should wait. We are in the spire still, or we are in a
about
cavern?
This time, Thif, who has been behind all of you, allowing you to have this conversation and sort of talk amongst yourselves, hearing you start to shift your conversation to where you're at, Thif sort of moves forward. Below spire. Underground.
Well,
Cat.
I assume.
Acombs.
Right. Then I assume Thif and the Gerithan can lead us back to where we were, or
No.
if necessary.
No.
No.
You no go there. Gothias. Not in main spire. Gothias. In core.
But we need to find Yesha.
Yesha not in, and sort of points up.
Okay, you just said you didn't know where she was.
We not see girl up. If Gothias have girl, she down here. There is much you do not know. We tell.
Can you ask your god?
Like point to me and Griveth like, oh.
Any of you holy people who speak to these powerful beings and gain their favor.
Look, I think Moradin likes what I'm doing, but I don't think I'm all that high up in his service. I can't, say a prayer and see if he's willing to answer.
I could try.
Why you talk to God when Thif here? Thif can tell you thing.
Fair enough.
We appreciate all the help that you've done for us, Thif.
We do. Thank you. We haven't had a chance. We haven't had the chance to thank you.
But there is a lot of unanswered questions, and a woman's life who we chose to save could be in any number of directions. I don't know exactly how we got here. I don't know how you got the book, but you didn't see the girl, whether she was taken or whether she hid, as you stated. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we don't know if she's up or if she's here. So we're looking at our options.
Thif will tell you what Thif knows. Then you decide what you do. Gothias been here long time. But then he gone for a very long time. Only come back for a little while. But things get worse when he return. Gothias want to raise dragon worshippers. Want cults to spread across land. In core of tower lies heart of dragon. Gothias get all his power from this heart. He will do everything he can to raise dragon cult to power. But you came. You present problem for Gothias. Now he want to kill you.
There's nothing special about that. There's a lot of people who want to kill us.
Getting to Gothias not easy. He stay in core with heart. He feed on power. It make him and all his undead stronger. No one can go in through doors. But we see Gothias become no longer vampire, turn into mist, and make passage. Long ago, the core was protected by a magic key. That key was broken into 4 pieces, was hidden all around catacombs. If you find 4 pieces of key, you can open one of the doors to the core, and you can enter. But keys are protected by dangerous magic. And when she says this, she turns and she sort of and one of the other Girlons comes forward, and you see now that this one is moving with a limp, and as it seems to be partially obscured by shadow, as it comes closer and into some of the light, you see that it's not obscured by shadow, but 2 of its arms, part of its face, one of its legs, one complete half of its body is blackened and burned severely. 4 others were killed when we find this. And she sort of turns suddenly and lopes over in that way that gorillas do, but even more impressively so because they now have 4 arms, over towards where these makeshift shelves are in this sort of seat that she was sitting on when you all first woke up. She digs around and she brings forth a small object that this object looks as if it's made of, where is it? It looks to be made of gold and platinum sort of inlaid with it. But this piece has a long portion to it, a curve, and then a piece that curves around much like a dragon's tail does. Looking at the other end, it almost looks like part of a dragon jaw. And you can even see that there's one part of this key has on it a hole, and another part has a pin. It looks as if it would connect to other pieces.
So Cantriel went after Talmud, right?
Yes.
So if she's going to talk to them, I don't want to keep chewing up airtime.
Yeah, and we can flip back to that as Talmud and Cantriel are sort of having a conversation, I believe. Or maybe somebody's trying to have a conversation. We'll see.
Talmud.
Oh, yeah. What is it, Triel?
Drop the bravado. That's a name we both know.
It's I don't understand how she could have even gotten the name.
I don't either.
And why she would say something like that. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense. It can't be true.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it's something where what happened? What happened to her? And I am sorry I have to ask this of you.
She was so young, you know. She wasn't even 10 yet. She was incredibly brave. She wasn't afraid of anything at all. Face it head on.
Like her father.
That's the way I thought I was, yeah. But
Are.
I don't know what exactly happened, but she ran from something and she got turned around in the old mines beneath the city. And by the time that I was able to find her, she I couldn't save her, you know, and I've faced some terrible things, and there's not much that I can't do, you know, but I couldn't save her, and I don't know why.
At this point, she would kneel down so she was more on his level. And she'd put her hands on his shoulders.
Talmud. That's not your fault. You did what you could.
But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. My daughter died.
She did. Just like my mother and my father and my sister and my brother, and I've spent years blaming myself. But there's only so much we can do. And you tried.
Trail, if there is some far-flung chance that Yesha is my daughter, brought back through some bizarre, weird magic that I can't explain, I'm not leaving here until we find her.
I completely understand.
And she'll pat her bow.
Whatever you need. Whatever it is we have to do. I have your back.
Let's not tell
No.
Thorgarn, at least.
All he's going to see is a clan name.
All right. Thank you, by the way.
That's what friends are for.
Oh, we're friends now.
We've always been friends, dwarf. Is that better?
For now, at least. Thank you.
Of course. We should probably...
Yeah, I think we should probably get back. No, there's no telling what trouble they're going to get into without us. Well,
Yes.
without you.
Quite frankly, I think they've said if they saw me giving you a hug, then they know something was up, so we've best...
Oh, I don't think that's necessary.
No, it might scare them.
Indeed. Okay.
Okay.
So, this way.
Yes.
As the two of you turn and in Cantriel you walk over, Talmud, you turn and sort of, as you grab hold of Gerithan to heft up onto your shoulder or whatever as you turn, you see standing about 6 feet away from you a very small Gerithan, almost your size. This appears to be one of the young. And it's looking at you, and it sort of takes a couple steps towards you. Tentative. It has that look like it's not quite sure. It wants to move closer to you, but it also looks like if you make a sudden move, it's going to bolt. And then it does a real quick, like 3 steps forward, one of them on one of its hands, and with its upper arm, it sort of puts something at your feet, and then it skitters back about 10 feet. And looking down, you see that there is a shiny black rock, and it appears to have a couple of markings on it. Not random markings. There's nothing of any real significance. It looks like maybe this young Gerithan just spent its time drilling a rock against another rock, marring the surface and creating a couple of indentations. If you look really close, it faintly resembles a face of a Gerithan. You'd see like 2 larger circles and then 2 smaller circles. That could be nostrils and eyes. But nonetheless, that's what it has left at your feet.
Talmud will kind of look down at it and kind of wiping his eyes kind of on the edge of his sleeve. Kind of turn a different direction to see if maybe he's just looking at it wrong. Maybe kind of, walk like almost like 180 degrees kind of around it. And then he'll just bend down and pick it up. And he kind of points to his own chest, looking at the Gerithan.
With 2 of its hands, the Gerithan points at its own chest. And then points at you. And sort of takes another step back.
Thank you. I suppose.
Seeing that you've
Tucked away.
taken it, it moves back a few more feet, and you see that there's a much larger Gerithan standing there that reaches down with two arms and sort of scoops it up in that way that we've seen. You see like an ape would pick up a young. And looking at you, this Gerithan mother just looks over the shoulder of this young Gerithan. And as you turn to walk away, it just seems to hold its young child a little closer. And we're going to take a break right there because we're coming up on our break time. And I really need to take a bio break. So that was a wonderful scene, Cantriel and Talmud, as well as everything else, just bringing us into this new chapter. So we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. That'll give you a time to refresh your beverages, do what you got to do. Just a quick reminder, if somebody can or thinks about doing it, if you want to grab those links from Scotty's from the Harvest module, the North Road campaign links from Quest Givers that Scotty shared about, please do drop those in the chat for us, because that's pretty exciting. You got that going on. I think I stalled long enough for my timer program to start up. We're going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break, and we will see you on the other side. And we're back, and what a welcome back. Chameleon fam, we know we love to see you come back in. Joey P, we love when you join us. We miss you too. It's free to join us. We appreciate the support and we love the domain dice, but it is free to join when you join with us. But thank you so much for that wonderful contribution to the Dawnbringers. What you see is a dwindling dice pool, so we're going to just take care of that real quick as we jump that up to 122 as Joey P has just bought the Dawnbringers another 20 domain dice with that. So thank you so much. And we miss you too, and we're glad to see you back. Yeah, you should have been here last week and the week before when it was at like 75. You'd have freaked. So we're coming back from a lot happening. The Dawnbringers waking up from a shared hallucination after a near-death fight for most of them to find their friend Fig has been magicked out of existence or this plane, and a new arrival in the form of the Githzerai Gerithan, who they have sort of been grilling each other and learning a bit about. Cantriel shared the note, and Talmud reacted rather strongly and emotionally to it. Cantriel and Talmud had a one-on-one conversation off in a corner to sort of hash through those feelings. And meanwhile, the rest of the Dawnbringers and Gerithan learned a bit about the fact that they are below the spire in the catacombs. Gothias is in the core with the heart of a Chardalon, and in order to get there, you will need to collect 3 more of 4 pieces of a key, which the Geralon Thif has given the first piece to you. You guys caught that. I was hoping I could slip past that, but yes, it almost became Taltriel. 100% what I almost said. Let's get that trending. Taltriel. Otherwise, it's Canmud. I like Taltriel better. All right, so about this time, Cantriel and Talmud join back up as Thif has given you this piece. Who took the piece of the key that Thif held out? That would be Thorgarn, Griveth, Drown.
Yeah, I'll grab it. It's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't matter to me. If anybody else wants it, they can have it, but...
I was assuming Drown was going to take it.
Sure.
All right.
I will note that I have a dragon tail key fragment.
Yes. And I just realized I could start sharing some of this stuff on the Discord as well. in the Dawnbringers portion of the Discord when we have handouts, so that if you want to see what I share privately with them when I have handouts, somebody remind me in the Discord, and I will do that later. You can type !Discord to see the link there and join us on our Discord if you want. Okay, you've got the key. What do you all like to do? You are, as a reminder, everybody is all rested. So there's no healing or resting that needs to take place. How would you like to proceed? Dawnbringers +1, -1, net 0?
Right, so what's this all about?
Who was that directed at?
She's like general direction to all of them, talking with
We gotta find. I point to Drown, and hopefully he realizes to pull out the key fragment. We gotta find 3 other pieces of the key to be able to get through a door. The Gerlins think that Yesha is with Golthias.
Then we get these other 3 pieces.
Wait, you're telling me that someone locked a door and then separated the key into 4 pieces?
No, Golthias can magic his way through the stone, but
But yes.
Well, that sounds needlessly complicated.
Apparently they were trying to seal away the heart of a Chardalon, but since Golthias is a vampire, he can become mist.
The heart
Find his
of
way in.
a Chardalon the dragon.
Yes.
It's here.
Golthias is feeding on it and drawing on its power.
It just gets better.
That's
Did you say
strange.
dragon?
Yes.
An
Ancient
old
red dragon.
fire-breathing, city melting.
we gotta kill that thing too at some point.
Gerithan just shakes his head.
Add it to the list.
What
Familiar.
a to.
Was that?
Are you familiar with them? Dragons, that is.
Not particularly.
Ever kill one?
No.
Well, that's a shame I have. Let's go.
It's an impressive feat.
No, it's not really.
Well,
they took care of
Have a
that.
response.
Thif knew where this one was kept. Perhaps she and her people know where the other fragments are, at least in general.
That would certainly help if we can hone in on them rather than just wander aimlessly around.
So they know where Yesha is.
They don't specifically, but they are saying they think that Yesha is with Golthias because she's not up above.
We need to get her back.
Yes.
All right, then we need to find the rest of these pieces.
So I
If that's where
handed
he's at.
Cantriel the note. So do you want to put this back in the book?
Sure.
Thief can show where we find this piece of key. Maybe you get idea what to look for. The trap is already been sprung.
That's good to hear.
And so the rest of you are caught up. That trap cost the lives of at least 4 Girolon and left, and he'll kind of nod over to the half-charred one.
So, same old, same old.
Yeah, coincidentally, that Girlon's name is Talmud. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I feel him. I feel him hardcore.
So no Yesha. Hey, Gerithan. You know anything about traps?
I don't have any particular specialty with them, if that's what you're asking.
It's not about getting rid of them.
That's beyond me, I must say.
All right. Well,
You said you led a mercenary company and traveled with Dark Elf in the Underdark. You're a warrior?
That's right.
All right.
If you're worried about traps, I can always bring Noorman along.
Wait, who was Noorman again?
The
Yes.
Doorman.
Oh, yes, that's right. Noorman the
Yes, let's
Doorman,
bring
the
Noorman
unseen
the Doorman.
servant.
Norman.
Please.
See, now when you say Norman, you got two of us that are
I
ears
know. I
that
actually
come-
watched
All of
you
us?
flinch slightly.
We're both like, huh?
I don't want Thorgarn finding any more traps.
oh, but it was fun falling up.
Thiff,
I like how it's fine that Talmud keeps finding them. That's okay. It's just poor Thorgarn.
You didn't fall 120 feet.
That's
fallen.
fair.
Do a razor shoot, no
that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, at least we finally have a lead in this house, this madhouse.
Lead the way, John says to Thiff.
so Thiff turns, and the room, I had previously described the wrong room. It is, generally speaking, instead of being a 30 by 30, it's more like 20 by 40. And to the southeast is sort of open, but this area has been one of the areas sort of watched over by a wall of Girlons. There's a large double door to the west, and there is a singular door to the north. And it's through this door to the north that Thiff leads you all. As you begin walking along, you enter a hall that's about 10 feet wide, about 40 or 50 feet long, and you see that there are 4 doors in this hallway, but they're all open. As you pass by the first 2 doors, inside these rooms, ranging from 10 foot by 10 foot to 15 foot by 30 foot, you see a handful of Girlon in each room. This seems to be where all of the Girlon that are not enslaved by Gulthias, where they hide out in this section of the catacombs. Thiff leads you to the second door on the left, and there's another group of Girlon that they sort of all stand when Thiff enters, and they move away a little bit, seeing all of you enter as well. Thiff just gives a nod and kind of barks something, and moves over to the northeast or northwest corner, and slides some of what looks like a big pile of debris is actually debris that's been deliberately piled high onto a large slab of stone. She moves it aside, revealing a door on the other side. Going through this door, you're led through another shorter hallway into yet another room. This room just has broken masonry and furniture, but does have a door set into the east wall. The door is hanging on its hinges, what's left of the door. You see broken and shattered fragments of door. The iron banding is bent and partially melted. Pieces of the door are singed. The entire doorway has black rising up around it. In the actual room itself, it's a 20 foot by 25 foot room. There's a smashed pedestal in this chamber center. The tiled chamber is darkened completely from extreme heat, and you can actually see on the walls near the door and to the sides the blackened humanoid forms of what was once the 4 Girlon. They were literally disintegrated. All that is left is these charred silhouettes on the wall. Something of incredible power exploded here. And Thif just says, "That is where Key was. We didn't know what it was at first. But you take them." And she seems to almost slump a bit as she's just looking at those 4 blast silhouettes. "Now you know. You must choose where you go. If you find more of our kind, you say my name, and they will not harm you.
Well, we appreciate all you've done.
The Thorgarn's going to look at the 4 silhouettes, and it's going to be, barely whispered, but he'll fumble with the, anvil necklace that he's got, and he's just going to say a quick prayer in Dwarven for those who have gone before, for their sacrifice for the mission that we're currently on.
And unless, is there anything anybody wants to do to look through this room or anything further?
Is there anything that stands out that gives any kind of clue that would make this like a special room of why a key would be hidden here?
Could I do an Arcana check?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is a 28.
And then what were you doing, Thorgarn?
Just looking to try and see like what, if there's anything, about this room. I don't have any skills that are gonna,
I mean,
allow me to notice something.
Just go ahead and give me an investigation check. You never know. You never know.
What I can.
Cantriel.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, sorry. So what was it?
17.
Okay. Cantriel, because everything has been so violently blasted, and the pedestal is just charred remains. There's no remains of any sigils or wards or glyphs. And I mean, beyond the obvious, it's some sort of powerful explosive magic. I mean, the type of damage that was done here seems to eliminate obviously freezing or acidic damage, and even thunder damage. This would be in the family of magics that does that will burn, whether that's fire or any other similar type. But it had to be very powerful to do the damage it did here. And Talmud, there's nothing that seems of particular significance to this room other than the fact that you had to navigate through several other rooms to get to it.
Do you mean Thorgarn?
Yes.
I was wondering.
Yep.
You know what? It's all dwarves. They look alike.
He's being the D&D dad again.
Yep. Hey, except I'm really D&D dad in this game now. To at least one of you.
All right. I mean, I wasn't really expecting Thorgarn to find anything. Maybe somebody else with, better skills, but it's cool. He did what he was supposed to do. He looked.
So, if nobody else wants to do any investigating, then Thif would lead you all back to that sort of main chamber where they all are.
I mean, all right, before we go, like, where exactly was the key? Was it on anything, just sitting in the middle of the room?
Imagine it was in the.
It was
In the pedestal?
key was on pedestal.
All right. And everybody's, like, searched that thing, looked for it, all that good stuff, so.
When you are brought down back to the main room, Thif tells you that through the double doors is another room where most of the rest of the Gerithan reside. From there, you can only go north, further into the catacombs to the north. If you go to the southeast passageway, there is a tunnel that will lead you along to a series of chambers and rooms that begin to work their way northward, very clearly identifying that you are somewhere in the southern area of the catacombs, sort of centralized in the southern area of this catacombs. So how would you like to proceed? You have the southeast or the west?
I like southeast.
Southeast. Southeast is fine.
Okay.
You gotta, go to see what you can see. Clearly, that's the direction to go.
So, as you prepare to head out, what is your marching order? More specifically, I want to know where Gerithan places himself in this group and where the Dawnbringers sort of position Gerithan.
Dwarves usually take point, so.
I won't argue with the dwarves taking point, but I do have a proclivity for close quarters combat, so I would put myself as far forward as I can.
So we got Talmud and Thorgarn and then Gerithan.
I'd be in the back with the bow.
I'll be
Cantriel's
next.
at the
So
back.
I'll let Griveth go up ahead. And,
Kind of
Okay.
more in the middle. Yeah.
Talmud, Thorgarn, Gerithan, Drown, Griveth, Drown.
Griveth.
Griveth, Drown, Cantriel. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. There is a passageway that heads to the south, but that passageway appears to be, after just about 30 or 40 feet, is caved in. The passage narrows out significantly, moving eastward. So you, Gerithan in particular, has some experience with moving through underground narrow passageways. These seem to be, this section anyway, appears to be almost natural, with no real formed walls. But very shortly, you come into a chamber, a cavern, that in this room, not unlike some of the other rooms, but it has that strong animal smell of animals or creatures living in close quarters for a very long time. There's also uncured pelts of strange animals that lie heaped here and there, that are making up some of these sleeping pallets, bones and such. This seems to be sort of a watch space for 6 Gerithan's, because in the northeast corner there is the worked stone of a section of wall that comes about 10 feet and then turns to the right another 5 feet or so, and in that 10-foot section is a door heading to the east. So without question, Talmud is going to open that door. See, I'm learning.
Like, do you want me to send Noorman?
2 years in. He kind of stops, almost like, sure. Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
All right,
Save me
no
a bit
problem.
of heartache.
Of course. And she'll just sort of like throw her arm forward. Noorman, you go. And there's sort of like this black mist that forms from her hand. It almost looks like the shadow of sort of like a butler who does a quick little bow towards her and fades into nothingness and goes to the door.
Okay. This door opens up into a room that is 35 feet across, stretching to the east, and is 20 feet to the north. There is a section of wall, and in that far northeastern corner is another door. This chamber is tiled with alternating onyx and chalcedony. That is a new word for me. I don't know what color that is. That is a word you tend to only find in D&D, I feel like. I'm not afraid to Google a word.
I'm gonna guess red.
It's not.
Oh.
It appears to be sort of a bluish quartz. See, Dan's shaking his head nodding his head the whole time, like, I could have told you that. But I feel enriched. I feel enriched for having looked at it. But yeah, so there's this sort of black and blue alternating slabs that make up the tiling. Relief sculptures on each of the slabs detail humanoid faces, all of which appear to be aflame, with mouths open in screams of agony. A pitted iron sculpture of a dragon with a 5-foot wingspan hangs from the ceiling, under which sits an altar carved of red-veined white marble. Upon the altar, subtle runes are inscribed. This altar resides on the far side of the room, near the other door out of the room. What would you like to do?
Does the altar match the construction of all the other altars we've seen throughout the spire?
It does not. This is the first time you've seen one of iron hanging from the ceiling, and this altar itself is this marble, this white marble made of, or with the red veins in it. All of the other altars you've seen have been made of obsidian or onyx colored, in the shape of a chardalon.
Do I know anything about that particular marble?
I mean, it's a really well worked piece of marble, and
is that kind of like, red vein marble? Is that rare? Because that's not something I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, it's not a common thing to see a red veined marble, so I would hazard to say that it strikes you as odd, very rare.
But not created, not brought from strange places.
I mean, where the marble originates, you don't really know.
Okay.
Does this one have the Chardalon symbol and then the tree kind of scratched over it?
It does not.
I thought it might not. This it looks different on here. He kind of like points with like the haft of his axe.
More ways than one. Material, the hanging. It's not
There's a lot of work that went into this room.
We should take a look to see if any of those tiles are plates or trap triggers.
Good idea. And Talmud will kind of look around and then, oh, right. And then he'll step forward.
We could have Noorman try and do some of it.
Yeah, I don't know if he can do pressure plates. He can try. I don't know if he weighs enough.
I don't think an unseen servant really has a weight to them,
He
do
can
they?
perform
Right.
simple tasks that a human servant could do.
So I guess he could poke the
So he could
floor.
like push
I
on
guess
the
'cause it
floor.
pushed
Yeah.
down, yeah.
I mean,
Hop around on the
if he
floor.
can carry a tray of food around and
Yeah.
open doors,
Manipulate a plate.
he's unseen,
Is there
so you don't know how he does it. But yeah, his way to do it is to just
It's
roll
his
up,
secrets.
lay down on the ground, and roll
I
across.
kind
the...
of pictured
go,
him like hopping on each plate and like just kind of like doing one of these things.
Is there like a stick around that we can give him?
Poke.
That's the half of your great axe.
I'll ask again, is there a stick around that we can give him?
We should get him an outfit that he can put on when
Oh
So
dear
he's a scene
God!
servant.
It'd be like bed knobs and broomsticks.
All of a sudden, he becomes the scene servant.
yeah.
What sort of
Here, wear
scene?
this sheet.
We'll get him a
Subtly
funny
scene.
mask.
Oh my God.
Wear
He's
the
gonna-
sheet.
He's gonna look like was it Linus that always dressed as a
Yeah,
ghost?
Blanket. I mean, I can give him my
We'll
rapier
get him a
to
pumpkin
poke,
head.
There are no sticks, but if you want him to move around the room, attempting to trigger floor tiles, then he can absolutely do that.
Okay.
It's hard to know exactly where he's at, but eventually you sort of hear this shuffling. I would say it'd take a good 10-15 minutes for him to work through all of these tiles, deliberately pushing on each one. And eventually you sort of hear this almost deliberate, like, shuffling of the ground near you to let you know that he's back over by you.
He's done.
And nothing seemed to have triggered.
All right. We shouldn't touch that altar.
I wasn't planning on it.
There is room to move past the altar through the door.
I've got bad experiences with those altars, but I really like to smash them.
We hate those altars.
Yes,
This
we know
one
you.
has obvious magical glyphs on it. Perhaps we leave it alone. Or I can try to strip any spells away from it.
As you get closer, if you're going to start moving to the door, Thorgarn, you would be the first to notice this. Strangely, the runes on the surface of the marble, you can understand them because you have something that gives you the ability to read Draconic now.
Well, then I
Maybe
did too.
Maybe the keys are somehow hidden in the altars.
So what does it say?
So you're going to read it?
Sure.
Are you going to read it aloud or to yourself?
I think I will just read it in my head.
Oh boy.
In which case, well, yeah, I'll just tell you what it says, but only Thorgarn, you know this. The words you read in Draconic are, "What surpasses a Chardalon is more despicable than the great worm. The poor have it, the rich need it. If eaten, death follows."
So I'll no, when I read Draconic, do I acknowledge that I can do this? Like that it's not one of the normal languages that I speak, or is it just I look at it and I understand it? I don't.
I mean, you know you're reading Draconic. It's not like it
Okay.
just looks like common. you know that you see the draconic letters,
Okay.
but you understand them. And
Cantriel is
before you speak, Thorgarn,
sure.
as you read this inscription, you feel as if you must answer this question. The question you have just read in your mind demands an answer from you. You sense as though you have taken the first steps in a powerful ritual.
Well, crap, because Ted knows the answer, but I'm not certain that Thorgarn would. So I find myself in a dilemma.
It's not super complicated.
Puzzles and riddles are always meta, anyways. Like
Yeah, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
These are fun for the player to do.
Yeah.
All right.
You are not prohibited from talking to your allies or drawing their attention. I just need you to know that this...
I'm the one that has to give the answer?
No, not necessarily. You just know that you have to give an answer.
Okay.
Like,
so
he has no choice. He can't choose not to.
You could choose to not give an answer. But the fact remains that you know that you have taken the first step of some sort of powerful ritual.
So I'm sorry, but I was actually able to read the script on this altar, and it's compelling an answer from me.
Thorgarn, I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw.
You get +3. +3.
With the +3, that is a 12.
Okay, you definitely need to answer this.
I will say nothing.
You will say nothing, or you will say
I'll
nothing.
say the word nothing.
Okay.
Should we back up?
As Thorgarn suddenly says nothing,
I even go so far as to say it in Draconic.
the altar, not the altar, the dragon hanging above the altar suddenly glows with a brilliant orange light. And I am going to need everybody in this room to make a dexterity saving throw.
+3.
I'm assuming because you described a visual effect that I can see this coming? Question mark?
Sure. Yes.
Excellent.
For your ability, yes. And let me see, how many d6 do I have to roll?
I don't like that.
Whoa. All right.
Oh, crap.
It's 10.
Oh boy. Well, I just got a 23.
I got a 15.
Can I
13.
can I use a domain die to re-roll?
By all means, absolutely.
18.
I rolled a
He's
low
initiated his first domain die.
I'll go ahead and do that then.
All right.
Hey, that's better.
All right. So once again, we'll start with Thorgarn, since you were at the forefront. What did you get?
15.
Okay. Talmud?
A 12.
Cantriel?
23.
Drown?
13.
Griveth?
22.
Gerithan?
16.
Talmud and Drown, you are going to take 37 points of fire damage as this dragon breathes fire into this room. The rest of you are going to take, what is that, 18 points of fire damage
Is this considered dragon breath?
This is a fire trap.
Okay.
I'm going to use Stone's Endurance to reduce the damage I take by 12.
All right.
So what was the total again?
If you did not save, it was 37.
Full damage, 37. Okay.
Thorgarn,
Yes, sir.
you no longer feel compelled to complete a ritual. You feel as though you have completed a ritual.
Can I use my reaction? I guess we're in combat, but I have the protective field psionic ability that lets me roll my psionic talent die and reduce the damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And thus it is revealed that
Yes, I am a
Gerithan
psionic.
is a psi fighter using the UA.
Yes, indeed.
So make sure, I don't know if the surveys are still open for that one, but I was going to say,
Long closed.
if you'd have done it
That's a
earlier,
pretty
you
old
could be
UA.
sure to tell Dan, or rather fill out the surveys about your feelings about it. But do that with the other UA that's out there in the world.
Yeah. So I take 10 points less than the number you said.
What does that look like when you use this ability?
It's almost like kind of like an invisible force pushes back against this fire that kind of wreathes around me in some parts. I'm still scorched by the heat, but it's as if something is pushing back against it just a bit, so that there's this kind of bubble around me.
Very cool.
So did I get any kind of sensation that I was right or wrong? Or is it just I completed and I don't feel any...
You feel as though you have answered correctly what you were supposed to, and you have completed the ritual.
The riddle is the command word for the dragon breath.
That's messed up that the right answer does that. What is the wrong answer gonna do?
Well, I think we already saw that considering the other 4.
But there's no key.
So then what is the point of this?
It's
I'm guessing proving worth, proving that you are strong enough to survive being right or wrong.
I suspect it's just a trick. Was there another door or passageway?
There is a door immediately to the left of this altar.
Let's head that way.
Thorgarn, let's smash this altar.
Hold up. I want to, we're used to walking close together. If we see something that stands out, we need to not be clustered together. I mean, am I right?
Nobody seems to be arguing with you.
Yes, in general, we stand pretty close together.
Right. But if there's these traps that are going to blow up and emit cones and lines of fire, then perhaps we really shouldn't be doing that.
Sounds like an intelligent call to me. Gerithan will space himself apart from the group.
I do feel a little safer, I have to admit, as much as it may pain me, but never I'm standing close to you-know-who. He kind of jerks his chin towards Griveth.
And I'll pull out the, I think it's a scimitar. This is what's allowing me to read that. And that's kind of what caused all of this. Do we think it's a wise idea for me to be carrying this around?
Well, I mean, if it's helping you read Draconic, then I'm just screwed and I can't hand anything away and stop it.
Oh.
Unless you want me to walk around blindfolded.
No.
Shut up, Talmud.
You're smarter than I am.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'll get the riddle right. Unless, did you feel like you could talk to the rest of us?
It didn't really I said something and it began applying pressure on my skull of I need to give an answer. It was bizarre. And I only looked at the last line that said, if you eat this, you'll die. And well, the only thing you can eat and die from is nothing.
Okay. This is fun. Sure, I'll keep my distance too.
But I was just thinking, did someone smarter than me want to carry the sword, or whether we're just going to do this as Dawnbringer style and fly by the seat of our pants?
Let's do our best not to answer any riddles.
Okay, I'll put the blade back in my in my pack, and
We seem to be dealing with someone who really enjoys torturing people and being cruel. So I don't imagine that this is the extent of the kind of sick things that we're going to find.
Well, let's hope that not more of this beard gets burned. Let's continue on.
All right. Cantriel, will you be making a deliberate effort to not read what's inscribed upon the altar then?
Like, it's one of those, when you see someone, but you want to pretend like you don't know them. She's very much doing the look in the absolute opposite direction.
Ah, the old grocery store pretend I don't know who that is.
Exactly. And she doesn't have a mask to hide behind, unfortunately.
Griveth holds his symbol of Eldath and calls on her blessing to help regenerate us from that riddle. So everybody heals 12 points of damage.
Score.
Nice.
Back up to full. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Back over 90.
All right. So you head through the next door into a room similarly sized, except this room has two doors, both to the north, one slightly left, one further to the right. But the room you are in has a sarcophagus in the middle of the room. This is a very old, very dusty chamber. On the surface of the sarcophagus is carved the likeness of an elven woman. And in Elvish, the name is inscribed there, Vidania Aloro.
So do we treat this one the same as we were treating all the ones upstairs?
Yeah, it's just Vidania.
Griveth is drawing Dawnbringer. He hesitates for a moment because of the memory of the dream, and then shakes it off, and of course draws Dawnbringer.
Okay, so you've drawn Dawnbringer. Were you
intending to mess around with that sarcophagus?
Not me, no.
Then pick a door.
Should we leave it?
What if it's another vampire?
It might sneak up on us, like that demon.
Let me have a look at it. Jake, I'm going to go investigate the sarcophagus, see if I can tell if there's any more of those lovely traps waiting for us,
Sure.
like there were on the ones in the hallway upstairs.
Sure. Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
That's a lovely natural 20, so that will give us a 25.
So you check very carefully around the lid of the sarcophagus, and because you're so systematic in going from experience, you notice that near the head of the sarcophagus, there's a split, and what looks like it's almost part of the design of the sarcophagus. There's a section of stone that has two thin seams that runs down to the floor and along the wall and going back up the wall. Basically following this design and this line, you look up and you see very faintly a section of the ceiling about 5 foot square has a seam around it. You get the impression that if you were to pull this lid, it would release that section of ceiling right on top of your head.
Got it. Well, I will point that out. That section of the ceiling is rigged to fall if the sarcophagus is open.
Hey, imagine that would hurt a bit.
So if we wish to open it, careful where you stand.
I don't know. I do feel off leaving it unattended behind us, but is the sarcophagus sitting on something?
Basically like a very minor platform that's only slightly larger in circumference than the sarcophagus is, or around the perimeter of it.
Could I stand opposite this platform from the section of ceiling and push the sarcophagus off that direction?
Yeah, seeing where this section of ceiling is, you could definitely position yourself elsewhere.
I think that's going to be my plan, if everybody's okay with that.
Okay. Okay, so you do so. You ever seen those cartoons where they cut a hole in the floor and the floor section remains and the rest of the room falls? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. That's the only section that wasn't trapped. The whole ceiling caves into the room.
The sarcophagus opens. There's a little hand that holds up a sign. Gotcha.
This isn't Tomb of Horrors. You are able to open it with everybody steering clear. As predicted, you open the lid, slide it aside, and there is almost no sound but this sort of as this huge stone block falls, crashes to the ground in that space and shatters, sending pieces of it around the room. It most definitely would have caused somebody a very bad headache. But inside the sarcophagus, you see bones of an elven woman, and you see 600 gold pieces, 3 gemstones.
Hold on. Go ahead.
600 gold pieces, 3 gemstones worth 50 gold pieces each, and you find a bottle with a orangish red, not pure red, but an orangish red liquid inside. And actually, I would say Griveth, Cantriel, Talmud, you would all recognize this. You've all seen it before, having found some of this in the Sunless Citadel. This is a potion of fire breath.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Do you say that out loud?
No, that was Zach. Hey, I know that.
Every time you find something, yeah, I've got one of those. Yeah, I've got 2 back home. All right. Other than that,
Mine at home are bigger.
you find nothing else of interest in this sarcophagus.
Well, I feel better knowing.
2 doors are available to you out of this room. One to the left, one to the right.
I say a little blessing over the body of the elf maiden, and apologize for disturbing the sleep.
All right. Left.
I was gnawing on a rib. No.
Look, free jerky.
I desecrate them and you consecrate them. All right. What do you guys want to do?
Pick a door.
What does your nose tell you?
Always
Dwarf?
right.
It sounds right then.
Can Noorman open the door
Sure.
for us?
Storm and Norman.
Mm-hmm. Noorman the doorman.
All right. So, you enter into this room, and this room is 30 feet by 20 feet. There appear to be no other exits out of this room. There is a stone sarcophagus standing in the center of this room. The features on this are again a carving of an elven, this time of an elven man, but the name is too worn away to be read.
Are there the dragon kind of cult symbols on these sarcophagi?
You do not see any.
Okay.
I assume we're not going to leave this one unopened. All right.
Yeah, Talmud kind of gives Drown a pleading look, like, sorry. Like,
I mean, I took the doors away from him. He has to open up something.
No, fair enough. All right, Jake, I'm going to approach the sarcophagus very carefully, kind of minding the floor in front of me as I go. And then, assuming I safely make it to the box, I'm going to search it again.
All right, go ahead and make an investigation check.
It's a dirty 20.
This sarcophagus does not appear to be trapped.
Looks clear.
all right then. He's gonna kind of look at the ceiling, like give it 2 or 3 glances before he then opens it.
All right, you slide the lid aside. It sort of to the ground. Inside this sarcophagus is 200 silver pieces and 9 gemstones worth 10 gold pieces each, along with bones or bone fragments, rotted cloth, and leather, and then this little bit of treasure.
Bless your sleep as my friends ransack your sarcophagi.
Yeah, Griveth is saying prayers, and Talmud and Thorgarn are like stuffing. And they're like, yes, yes, and like.
Graham just kind of looks at Griveth as he makes these little prayers, looks at the dwarves gathering all the treasure, and then just sort of looks at Cantriel and quirks an eyebrow.
It's just better not to ask. You'll give yourself a headache either way.
All right.
It's what they do.
All right.
So you said no other way out of this room?
Nope.
Then we
So
spin around to the next
you
door.
route back to the other door, the door on the left. This time is a room similar size to the one you just left. And surprise, there's a sarcophagus in the middle of it. But this room does have a door on the other side of the room.
As before, Drown will carefully approach and inspect the sarcophagus.
Yep. Same investigation check.
We're sliding a little. It's a 19.
All right. Yeah, as you're looking through this one, that does not appear to be trapped.
He just sort of gestures toward the box for Talmud to come do his thing.
All right, boys, have at it.
Talmud moves over. Same thing. The sound of sliding stone and the sound of as a plume of gas begins to fill the room. And I need everybody in the room to make a Constitution saving throw, as this gas, and it is considered a poisonous gas. So if you have immunities or resistances or whatever,
I get advantage. I have resistance.
advantages, whatever it may be.
Did you just nat 20, Jeremy?
Close. I got a 19 on my advantage die.
Nice.
All right. So let's start with so you got a 19, you said. Cantriel, what'd you get?
Dirty 20.
Drown?
24.
Griveth?
I got a 17 after I used one of my inspirations.
All right, Gerithan?
I got a 23.
Thorgarn? I think you said 17, but you're muted.
He's muted.
17, unless I'm actually, close to Griveth, and then it's 20.
The room's
yeah, you
small
should be-
enough.
You should be close-ish to Griveth.
Yeah, and Gerithan, if you didn't catch it, everybody that's within 10 feet of Griveth gets a +3 to their saving throws.
Yeah, my usual
Oh.
my usual thing is to try to stay within that of the party unless there's some extraordinary circumstance where I'm running away to get something or whatever.
So
Yeah.
everybody,
And just to clarify, I got a 19 on the die. So my total was actually a 26, just
Okay.
if it matters.
Yeah, I had a 26 too.
at this rate,
With that
or
bonus.
at this level, everybody passed the succeeds on the trap. You will avoid the permanent 1 point of Constitution drain, but you will take 7 points of poison damage. Have that if you're resistant to poison. So yeah, take it at 3, 7 or 3, because everybody succeeded on that. But you definitely feel, in addition to the poison, you could feel it kind of sapping at your overall strength and constitution.
Well, that's ill.
The gas clears pretty quickly, revealing that there is a scattering of golden gems in the bottom of this trap. This trap. Reminds me in the Sunless Citadel when you guys were walking towards that fountain, and I said, you take a step towards the trapped fountain. I mean, towards the fountain.
Is there a body in this sarcophagus?
Yes, there's bone fragments, clothes,
Okay.
leather.
Bless this body.
There's 150 gold pieces and a single gemstone worth 50 gold pieces. And there is a dagger in this as well that seems untouched by time.
Any interesting details on it?
Other than the
Do tell.
fact that it seems untouched by time, it looks fairly mundane. Who pulls it out of the sarcophagus?
Want to do high-low there, Talmud?
Talmud.
I'll do it.
As you pull it out of the sarcophagus, go ahead and just make a quick perception check and yeah.
Make a death save.
No.
Quick.
Yeah, make a quick. Just real quick, make a death save.
Real quick, make a new character. Is it perception?
Yep.
That is an 11.
You don't notice anything in particular, but Cantriel sort of watching over this because you catch everything. Talmud sort of leaning into this, you know, being a dwarf, he has to kind of stand on tiptoes and lean in and scoop out this treasure. And as he grabs the dagger, it's in his hand, and he kind of puts his hands on the side of the sarcophagus and then drags it across the top before he takes it down. And you notice that the blade of this dagger made no sound at all when it scraped across the rock, the stone of the sarcophagus. It made absolutely no noise as he pulled it out.
Talmud, do that again.
I suppose I will the next sarcophagus we come across. Why?
No, just drag the blade against the stone.
He'll kind of look at her with a puzzled expression and kind of try to mimic whatever she's talking about here.
You sort of scrape it across the stone and maybe even tap it. Blade makes no sound whatsoever.
He kind of turns around and like taps it on Thorgarn's helmet.
Not a sound.
Not wearing a helmet, dude.
Oh, well then, imagine your surprise. We're dwarves. They might as well be helmets. They're just skin-covered helmets.
I just imagine Thorgarn's eyes sort of crossing as he looks up, as he's just getting dook, dook, dook. Yeah, it makes no sound whatsoever.
Except there would be a thunk, yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's...
Hey, what are you doing?
You
He's
didn't
making a
understand.
point. No pun intended, actually.
Because it said
this
dagger.
time.
Oh,
That was just dumb luck.
that's strange. Not
Isn't
sure
it?
if it would be useful to anybody. Anybody?
Don't
He
let
kind of looks
daggers-
around at the group.
Certainly worth
dagger
investigating. Next time we
quietly.
rest.
This does not seem to have any complex magical abilities to it beyond this. It does not require attunement. It is a silent dagger. It makes no noise when its blade touches a surface. So whoever wants it can have
Could be
it.
great for like checking out stuff, like doing like investigation checks, because no one would hear you checking out stuff, like tapping it or.
Holding the dagger like against stone, and then like right next to it, he's gonna kind of like tap his axe next to the stone.
You're going to tap your axe next to the dagger?
Yeah, sorry. Tap his axe on the stone right next to the dagger.
Yeah, your axe makes noise.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like an enveloping type thing.
Yep, it seems to be just the dagger blade itself.
So if you take the pommel and tap it, that makes noise, or just the blade?
If you try that, the pommel does indeed make a metallic sound on a sound of metal on stone.
Well, perhaps Yesha will enjoy that if we ever find her.
We must find her. We need to.
Why don't you hang on to it then, Talmud, so you can give it to her?
That's a grand idea. Okay. He'll tuck it into his belt.
All right. There is what?
Door.
Yep, there is one door to the north. Is it Noorman or Talmud opening this door?
Uh-oh. You know what that means.
Is Noorman still active? He's still up and going?
Yeah, it hasn't
Yeah.
been an
Yeah, he
hour
hasn't been
yet.
recalled, so he'd
Okay.
be opening. He's just gonna go right for the doors. It's his thing.
And it kind of seems to be the MO, so
Yeah,
stick with
well,
that.
it's part of his name, so he's obligated.
He doesn't feel loved if he doesn't get to open the doors.
Okay, so you open the door to this chamber. Sorry, this is the part of the catacombs where the numbers are not sequential, so I'm jumping around in the module. This opens up into a very large room, the largest you've seen in this area, probably square footage wise even larger than the crematorium that you were in. This room, as soon as you open the door, is about 45 feet across and is almost 50 feet wide. There is an alcove off to the left, to the west, about 30 feet away. There's the entire northwest seems to open up into a passageway where you can't quite make out what it's at the end of that room. In this room, you immediately smell the stink of wet fur and old feces. It's a powerful, overwhelming force. Stone slabs extend out from the walls on the perimeter of this room at 10-foot intervals, creating small stalls. You can see inside these stalls that there's some sort of sodden moss, dead plant fiber, probably dried bodily waste. A total of 9 straw-filled bays are here, though the indentations in the straw appear as if each one of them could hold 2 sizable creatures. The central area of this chamber contains a large wooden table, upon which many small implements of torture have been arrayed, as well as a few large skull-like muzzles. These muzzles are leather and have that emblazoned look of a skull, similar to the ones you've seen on some of the Gerithan servitors further up in the spire. 2 red-hot iron pokers stick out of a 5-foot wide pit filled with glowing coals next to the table. Inside this room, in addition to that, you see that there are, just beginning to stir, several of these Gerithan's rising out of some of these stalls. They begin to rise up out, moving towards the center, and there is a bit of movement over just on the other side of the table, as you see 2 humanoid looking women wearing tattered robes, gnarled hair, scarred and pitted faces, and they seem, one of them is actually holding one of these metal pokers. And seeing you all enter, they point the pokers at you, and they say something in a language you don't understand. And the Gerithan's all begin pounding their chests as they look at all of you angrily. And that is where we are going to end tonight's session. Zach was like, ooh, combat! And then there wasn't any. And as we end the session, 20 sides to every story raids the stream right at the tail end. But a raid is a raid, which means you get a domain die for that. So thank you for that. 20 sides to every story and accompanying raiders. We appreciate that. Well, you found out a little bit of information about what is going on with, well, you don't really know what's going on with Fig's disappearance, but you at least know a little bit about who the new arrival is. And Talmud and Cantriel have had a close conversation about the significance of the note found in Yesh's journal. I just want to take this time to, one, remind you, if somebody has that link and wants to drop it again, I think it's further up in the chat, about Quest Giver's new releases that Scotty told us about. A new adventure with Scotty and Gareth, and Gareth from the DMG Info, not Gerithan, our Githzerai, and Jeremy Pillipow of Black Magic Craft. These are pretty darn cool. I actually, when it was safe to be in the office, last year sometime I printed all of mine that I have of the Quest Givers modules and put them in a binder. They're very wonderfully put together. They have very loose set of rules. I played them in 5th edition very easily with this group, some members of this group a while back. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to tune in this weekend, starting tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern to 9:30 p.m. Eastern, maybe a little bit longer, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for AtCon Line 2020, the first ever AtCon. It is from the publishers and friends of ours at Absolute Tabletop. Their response to not being able to hold AtCon in person in Tacoma, Washington this year. Something I've been to a couple times. Jeremy's been to every year. And we very much look forward to. So instead, we're going to game online for 3 days. I'm hosting, I'm producing all weekend. We have lots of great giveaways of Absolute Tabletop digital modules and bundles. They put out some amazing content. So you want to tune in for that, for a chance to win some of their merchandise, as well as to see some great games that are going to be run. Some panels are going to be done. Jeremy will be running the final session of the day tomorrow night, and you will see our own Big Bearded Nerd, I believe, is playing in that as well. Dwight is going to be in that one. Just lots of great stuff going on all weekend, and we're also going to be raising money for Feeding America. So we'll have some Tiltify links in the chat. Yes, Cole Sparks is also going to be playing in that as well. Cole is in the chat there. So be sure to tune in for that, for the awesome that is going to be happening this weekend. And then we've got our usual scheduled games happening occasionally throughout the week. Of course, every Thursday, right here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, you want to tune in for the Dawnbringers, where Zach will be joining us as Gerithan for the foreseeable future. And we'll see what happens with that. So I do want to say just a wonderful thank you to all of the people that joined us tonight. It always feels good seeing so many people hanging out with us. And just keeping the conversation going and being a part of our story. Thank you to those of you who subscribed. Thank you to our super fan and Domain Dice patron, Chameleon Fam, aka Joey P. for loading the Dawnbringers up, always popping in when they can to make sure that they're not below 100 domain dice for too long. So thank you for that. And finally, of course, I want to say thank you to Scotty, Dan, V, Zach, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for 3 hours. With that, we are going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.